So I think we are live. Hi, Elle Ingalls here at pressure-free.com, coming into you in the evening, coming. Oh my gosh, we should just start this all over. It's evening, and so when I don't do a live at 8:15 in the morning, I will do my best to go at 8:15 at night Eastern, and that helps some of my clients who are on the West Coast who are watching and friends out there. Episode today is about lessons I've learned from working with healthcare leaders and nurses, people in healthcare, physicians, psychologists that I've coached. Anyone who's in the realm of deeply caring about others, parents caring for their loved ones, people caring for their elders. And I started to think about the stressors, the particular stressors. We'll start with people in the HR field. I have quite a few clients who've worked with me over the years that are HR professionals, and I learned a few things that interest me. One is that I never thought that someone who is in HR. Let's start that over. I've learned some lessons from clients of mine who are in the HR field and some things that I had not thought of as particular stressors. But if you're serving in a field like that, or in healthcare or mental health care, any sort of the caring fields, education, if you're a parent, caring for others, then it's very easy to have particular stressors come on you like these. One of the people I was talking to, in a really high level healthcare professional, said, I might be the first person to learn about someone being pregnant or someone having cancer or someone's spouse or partner having cancer, or some sort of illness in the family that's going to require a family leave request. And someone else in the family might not even know this yet, but they're coming to you as an HR person to help you with this situation and how are you going to navigate work. I had never thought about that before. And certainly those in mental health care fields, we it's and coaches, our clients come to us with all sorts of different dilemmas and problems, and we can let those things really work on us. So I have some tools to help with situations where, you really care about someone and they're going through something very difficult. How do we protect ourselves from releasing the stress response because we're worried about them? So worries are definitely one of the things that prime us to go into fight or flight. And if someone is sharing their deepest worries with us, it's really easy to take it on or to move into the same energy. So one of the tools I have, and my certification client Amy Cohen mentioned it the other night, it's one of her favorite tools. I call it the bubble. So the bubble is kind of like Bubble Boy. Have you ever saw that? But like, there's a bubble around you. It's about, 3 to 5 feet out, whatever your wingspan is. And this bubble is around you. It can come in close to you, so you can give someone a hug or or shake somebody's hand, comfort somebody, put your arm around someone, but you're retaining your own energy. So the bubble is invisible, of course, and it can come in close to you, but your energy is still contained within it so that you can actually protect yourself. Now you can give this loving energy to another person, but as far as taking on their particular worries, their situations, when we do that, we actually create a tension in our own bodies. We can easily trigger fight or flight. And I have a phrase that I love to share. It's that misery doesn't just love company, it demands it. So when someone is really going through something, we talk a lot about empathy and sympathy today. But if we move into the same energy, we're literally moving down into very lower vibrational energies that don't help heal us. They don't help us solve situations. So when you can keep your energy pure and open and loving, But in that kind of movement, energetically, you can actually help people so much more. I remember I was coaching four nurses once, and one of the nurses had an injury on her ankle. It was very, very, very swollen. And as we sat down in a circle together, the three other nurses had a look like this on their face, like, "Oh my goodness, did you get a second MRI? That looks so bad." They were very concerned for their friend, but all of their injury was tense. Their shoulders were up, their neck was very tense, their face was tense. And I watched this woman just like she got tense. She got very, very tense. And so as one of the lessons when I was working with those nurses, I showed them what they looked like. And I showed them how all that tense energy was actually focusing right on the ankle and creating more tension in the patient in this case, who was a nurse. When we really want people to heal, when we really want to help people, if we can keep our vibratory energy up, if we can keep our posture up, if we can keep an open and very loving feeling going on, that is so much more helpful to the person. Now, sometimes if people are in an angry or really dark mood and you stay very sunny, that annoys them. Okay. So 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 it's not like you're necessarily like all smiley and all this, but you have an inner energy that is very buoyant and very up and very healing. I've done this so many times with people, especially with my clients, because sometimes there's just really hard things that they're going through and sharing with me. And when I think about this is another thing, if you have someone in your life and you start to go down the worry path, thinking about them, thinking about their health or they're losing their job or whatever the situation is, when that starts to come into your mind, this is what I do, and it's so helpful. It's so helpful to my certification clients. I immediately open myself and assume success for them. I assume that everything is going to be fine because I'm not talking to them right now. I don't even know what's happening. So when they come into your mind, like a lot of times this is happening when you're trying to go to sleep at night, you'll be thinking about patients, about people you're working for or working with, children you're caring for, your parents who you're caring for. You know, it could be anybody. But when those thoughts come in and they're dark and they're worried, if you can in your mind just open up and assume success for them. Say a very positive meditation or prayer for them. Like send really beautiful energy to them. Healing energy is what people need. People need healing energy, not tense energy. Does that make sense? So a lot of times and it started when we were little, we were conditioned to tighten toward pain. When we got hurt, someone went, "Oh no, we need a Band-Aid or Mercurochrome." Does anybody remember that? It was this red stuff we painted on our boo-boos when I was a child. So, so this tension we imitated. As children, we're just imitating what our parents or caregivers are sharing with us and showing us. And so we got the message that when there's pain, you tighten. What's interesting about that is that you block nerve flow, blood flow, and energy flow. And those flows are what heal us. So when you can do the opposite and when you're helping someone else or even thinking about someone else and just assume success for them, assume that they are relaxed, assume that they are healing well, that kind of energy is far more powerful for healing than the tense energy. And gosh, it's like it's really interesting to listen to people in the helping fields. I had a client, he's a EMT firefighter. I actually coached him when he was a 15-year-old wrestler, one of the top wrestlers in the state. And I hadn't seen him in years. I was out skating on a pond and I hear my name. And he came up. It's actually a live from like 4 years ago. I guess they don't keep my lives anymore. Too bad because he came over with his dog and then we had a short conversation, but he shared with me, he said, I save lives. He saves lives because he doesn't trigger the stress response in the emergency situations that he's in. So he has all of his faculties And he was told me an actual story about like someone else might have actually not been able to save this one person, but because he just stayed so pressure free, he was able to do exactly what he needed to do. And he sees people in the helping field so often be just slightly jittery, because if we trigger fight or flight, we're not quite coordinated. And those like millimeters that you might be off having to do something to a patient, um, that's critical. It could be really critical. And so he was telling me like he's like, I save lives. I save lives that might not have been saved because of his ability to not trigger the stress hormones, stay in the zone, and really be in that space where he has all of his full faculties. So that's the case for helping someone who's going through something. If we trigger with them, we're not going to be as sharp, as focused to be able to help come up with some solutions. We'll have a harder time making decisions. We won't have the willpower to really stay on it. We could get impatient with the person. I see that a lot of time with older people, like younger people, very impatient with older people. Um, and I look at it and you can tell, you can see that the younger person has triggered the stress response out of annoyance, probably. It's like they want to get on and be able to do something in their day, but they're having to take time and take care of someone. Same thing when you're taking care of children. I have a great memory of one of my the teachers of one of my sons. It was the most beautiful um, energy in a classroom that I really had ever seen. It was very calm. The teacher never raised their voice, kept her voice very soft. And the children were just like they were so alive and yet calm. They were pressure free, if I think about it. They were calm but exhilarated. Like you could feel their energy, and they were little kindergartners. Like you could feel their energy, but it was like they're focused on their tasks. They're focused on whatever they were doing. They were off on little tables, all doing different little things, and I was coming in to read to them, but um, the whole space, the whole tenor of the room was just really calm and with a beautiful energy. So think about that in your situation. Sometimes we have to have tough conversations. I think of my HR clients and some of the conversations they have to have. I mean, sometimes they're letting people go. I had a friend who was in charge of letting go hundreds of people in a company. It was so difficult. And so we're in all of those situations. How do we need to be? How do we want to be? And what kind of energy in the room do we want? When you ask yourself those questions, in fact, in my planner that I have Q1 on Amazon. I'm trying to load up Q2. I ran into a little difficulty actually. Had to use a lot of tools to not get upset about it. Tech stress is a real thing. But in my planner, I actually have people write down words next to whatever their thing is on their time block of their agenda. That's a word to describe how they want to be during that time block. So it's words like amazing, beautiful, friendly, um, peaceful, joyful. I use exquisite a lot. That's a word I like. Fantastic, fun, whatever the word is. And the purpose of the word is to put a stake in the ground that this is my intention for my energy in this time block. And especially if you're working with other people, we really have a lot of power to inner power, not force, to create um, space in a room that feels really loving. And so these are some of the things that I play with and I teach my clients, especially those in the helping fields, to just really um, protect themselves so that they don't trigger the stress hormones and also create space that really feels healing and loving, and it's not forceful. It's empowered from the inside. So I hope this is helpful. It's a little bit different tonight, but that was what was on my mind. And of course, as always, I just wish you a beautiful rest of your day or evening and that it's very pressure free.